Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and in this video, we're going to unbox and build the Sicaran battle tank for Horus, Heresy, and of course, Warhammer 40k as well. So this is a really exciting time. You know, if you've ever interfaced with the resin model from Forge World, that thing was a bear to put together. Although a lot more simple as far as like part count goes, because I looked at these sprues in here already. And there's a lot of sprues. So now I'm kind of like, ooh, maybe we didn't have it so bad when it came to, you know, the Forge World model and stuff. But I digress. Either way, we'll take a look at the instructions here in a second. But I wanted to show you the sprues since they're right on top. So the tank tread sprue is the Kratos. Well, it's just a generic tank tread sprue. It's the same one that came in the Kratos. So I imagine we're not going to use all these treads. And also, speaking of Kratos, the weapon sponson is the same, which I also imagine that we'll see this reused is the Predator sponson and maybe the future Sicaran sponsons as well, depending on what variants they come out with. We saw this already, the vehicle accessory upgrade sprues has pretty much been everything to this point here. And then there's the Legion decal sheet and the instructions, which we're going to take a look at. And then two big chunky sprues that are going to contain all the rest of the parts here. And there's that one right there. So realistically, they only made 2 extra sprues, or only had to craft 2 extra sprues. Digging into the instructions here, I don't like this very small fine print and no reverse angles and no full color kind of instruction manuals that they've been using for everything in here. So if you're having a hard time with it too, just kind of take it slow and just, you know, kind of double check everything and dry fit everything. It's a little bit small font, so it could be a little bit difficult, and I understand that. So as far as the treads go, very similar to the Kratos build, very similar to the Spartan build. You're going to build the framework and then put the treads on, and all, you know, a bunch of the different treads. You're not going to use quite as many as the Kratos, and then the front track guards there, and the 3 notches go on the inside, 2 notches go on the outside there to lock those in, and then the other is the mirror inverse or mirror image of that. It's all very symmetrical. And then you've got the front cockpit here, the heavy hull-mounted heavy bolter that should rotate if you put this in and heed the warnings. Okay. Then you've got the back, or this is the front, where you can attach a dozer blade. I kind of don't like it with a dozer blade, to be honest. Once you get down to this step right here, it's kind of precarious in space. So, you know, I use this Tamiya super thin cement to build my stuff. This could get a little weird if you let it sag, I suppose. So you want to make sure that you lock it into these tread assemblies over here as quick as you can, so you don't kind of get that saggage and the separation of the plates. And then more track guards here in the front top. It should, if you do it quick enough or careful enough, all go together just fine. Exhaust stacks over here. Left and right, very smaller than the resin ones if I recall correctly, and then building out the cockpit here. Now if I remember, the sensor moves, and it looks like they're wanting you to do that because they're saying don't glue stuff down, so that'll be cool to see. The left accelerator cannon, or I guess that's the right, the starboard side accelerator cannon goes builds pretty similar to what it did on the resin one. Then it's got an axle that goes between them, it looks like, and you build up the port accelerator cannon here, put the armor plate on it, put the back ammo hopper thing, and then you feed the starboard one into the port one. It doesn't say, oh, okay, so you don't glue it through the turret, you glue it into the other side so they traverse and kind of go up and down together. And I'm not sure if the sensor, it doesn't say anything about the sensor, but I remember the sensor moves, so hopefully you can kind of attach the sensor to that, I hope. And then that gets it together. And then you've got the sponsons. Now the sponsons, we did this modular on the Kratos. It is easy to do. I'll show you how to do it. You just basically you can just kind of snap these tops and bottom sensors into each other, or the bottom plug and the top sensor plug into each other. And you can swap out the one for the one that has a notch in the back if you have the wiring. And I'm not sure which ones have the wiring. Just looking at maybe the last cannon, it looks like the last cannon does. But either way, if you put a little bit of super thin glue onto it, it makes the little stem thicker. And if you let it dry, just do it a couple times while you're working on the model, and it'll increase its you know, width just enough that it'll become snug and a little bit thicker than that tolerance that it has, and that way you won't have to use magnets or anything. And then you can choose whatever you want to put on the top. Haven't really messed around with that, or a 100 killer missile smoke launcher or searchlight on it too. So very cool kit. To see it now in plastic and kind of see how it goes together. But let's get to it and see how the assembled version will turn out. I reserve the right to backpedal at any time. I did want to show you some pictures we had found on Reddit earlier before this release. Somebody said they found a kit on eBay and bought it, LOL. But the good takeaway from all this is that the current resin kits out there from Forge World will lock into this turret coupler ring right here, which is really cool. So if you have extra of those, you can do it. And obviously we know they're going to put out more. And then there's a comparison from that same post that shows the size of the resin one next to the plastic one. There's the profile from the front. There's a profile from the side, and you can see there's a smokestacks right here are indeed a little bit different. I kind of like the plastic ones. I prefer the plastic ones, to be quite honest. And then we just get into there's the variants there that are still for sale for $144. I guess now's a good time to mention that this kit is $80 US. A lot of folks expected it to be about $110, the same as a Land Raider. I think the Land Raiders are $110. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of prices anymore. So in GW money, it seems to be a pretty reasonable kit, especially for a vehicle. But in actual money, you know, 80 bucks is still a lot of money out there, folks. But it is nice to see this kit not topping $100 just quite yet. And here she is. So this is a really cool kit to put together. Everything is pretty flush. And, well, look, now you know the turret's not attached. Everything is pretty flush and goes together swimmingly. There are extra track sprues left over because it is the Kratos sprue and you don't use quite as many tank sections, which is also a great way for GW to save money there. And you can see everything on the back goes together very, very well. I was really impressed with how tight this kit is. And then you've got this little thing right here that traverses not very far, actually. I forgot it's on like a 15 degree. Okay, that's cool. That makes more sense. And then this kit here, I wanted to show you. It's got the axle in here, and I put a little bit of blue tack in there to hold that turret in place. But this goes up and down, not by much. And then the sensor doesn't just kind of tracks on its own too. So it's a little disappointing that this doesn't lock into this. So that could be up and this could be down. I don't know. At that point, it's like, why even move this, I suppose? So I was a little disheartened on that. But, you know, I mean, it's really one little thing to kind of nitpick about when it comes to this kit. Oh, that fell out. So this is what I wanted to show you. You can switch out these turrets or these sponsons very easily. See, that one's pretty snug. If you just put a little bit of super thin glue on here, you can see how it's kind of shiny. That's because I kept putting a layer or two of glue on this. And then what you can do is once you get that on there, you can, let's see, which one is this? This one goes here. So then you can just take your pegs and stuff and just insert them into here. And this one is very snug. I think I put extra glue on this one and just let it dry. Not obviously in the hole here. So there's that. And then I think it's snug. It's hard to say. I'm looking at it through the camera. Oh. And then you take this plug right here and this one's just gonna lock in. Now this one didn't quite, is that the right one even? See, there's this little notch on the back. No, that's not the right one. That's why it didn't work so well. There's a couple of these with, oh, here it is. It ran off, scampered off on me. All right, so here's this one with the little notch on the back right there. And that goes into here. There we go, okay. And then you can swap them out. If they continue to fall out, just put a little bit extra glue on there until it gets to the thickness where it's thicker, you know, than the tolerance of that. And then you can, I'll just show you how to do it. Just slather some on there. And then I found that it's probably good to let these dry and just kind of standing up like that, and then just let it dry while you're working on a different part. Once you get to that point that you're working on the sponson, or maybe do the sponsons first, so you can just put a little extra thin glue on there, So we're just going to reattach this without that, just so we can do our little outro here. And remember, each of these goes on a certain way. Yeah, it's that way. One attaches the down, one attaches the up, because they're the mirror image of each other. But I'm really impressed with this kit, and it's great that it was only 80 bucks. I know 80 bucks is a lot of money, but in GW money, I think a lot of people expected it to be more. So really cool kit. If you've been waiting for a Sicaran, now is definitely the time to pick this up. But I'm sure there will be more variants, and then hope, you know, maybe they'll do that like they did Everybody's Solid with the Contemptor and the Leviathan, and do the upgrade sprues. So all you have to get is the turret, because that is definitely something. You know what? I don't even remember. There's two things in here, so that's going to be weird. So they would have to do. They could do it. They could just basically take this and add all of the turret parts to it, and keep all the cockpits and things on here, depending on. Or they could pull. They could put the Contemptor, do the Contemptor thing where you get both in the sprue. I don't know either way, but at least the Forge World ones line up with it too. So if you do have the existing turrets, you can plop them on here if you happen to have spare ones or what have you. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching our unboxing build of the new Horus Heresy, or Space Marine Legion's Sicaran Tank. It's really fun and very cool. Don't forget, you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com, Amazon, or hopefully your local game store as well. If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too, to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/SpikeyBits.